either one of our channel. Dr. Juliet is a survivor of MK Ultra, um, uh, Monarch programming, and also has written amazing books, which I am actually ordering. Sparky. I was wondering, but before there we go, there we go. I was actually just getting all the names of your book here, which was Sparky Surviving Sex Magic, Angels Over Moscow, and Life, Death, and Trafficking in Russia. So, author of those three amazing books. So, I'm definitely grabbing one of those. We're going to be putting all the details in the description area. So, guys, you're welcome to obviously click on those links, and I'm looking forward to reading that, of course. And then, of course, we have Chris Latereur, who's also no stranger to this channel. Chris, I think you've been on at least 4 times now. Um, on Aquarious Rising Africa. So that's cool. And tonight you're surrounded by us lovely ladies. So you must be a very happy man tonight, I'm sure. Anyway, Chris is the author of Terror at Montauk, also available on his website. We're going to be putting all the details below. And also survivor of MK Ultra, Monarch programming, and of course was on the Montauk chair and codenamed Duncan Cameron on 12th of August 1983 when those portals, when he opened the portal at Campiero and allowed the monsters, and I say monsters in inverted commas because we tend to think monsters are such terrible creatures, but I think they come in different shapes. The light comes in different shapes and forms. And I love that story, actually, Chris, that you've spoken about that. I think it's so cool and one that definitely we're going to be telling again. So, and then, of course, Danny, who is often my co-host when we do these amazing roundtables. So, welcome, everybody. I really am so happy to have this roundtable here as well, and especially with both Juliet and Chris being from Canada, the east and the west side of Canada, where Juliet never went through the actual Montauk program, but all went through the MK Ultra, and it's amazing. And they were in the programs at different times, but the similarity of what both Juliet and Chris have been through is actually quite phenomenal. But Danny, I'm gonna hand over to you because I'm gonna let you go ahead and ask what you want. We're just going to flow tonight, just whatever comes up, we're going to chat about. And I think it's an amazing group of minds here. So, Danny, I'm going to say welcome and thank you for being here. You're always such a treasure. And love for you to go ahead and just ask Juliet or Chris whatever you'd like to and open up the floor for us.
Thanks, Shanti, darling. And again, I love it when you and I come together because we're very determined in our missions to support humanity and to bring every single
Mm.
subject. And you and I are two of the bravest broadcasters out there because we're not doing what we do for audience or for likes or for fame or
Yeah.
for ego. We're here because we have a deep desire for every being, every child, every adult to be aware of the things that have happened and to help them in their healing. And that people like Chris Latereur and that Dr. Juliette Engel have gone through the worst and the most horrific programs imaginable, but they have the proof that they did. And I always yell and bang on about I will stand on physical evidence. That's what I do mostly on my channel with ETs, demonics, angels, programs, militaries, governments. I'm not afraid of one single subject. You couldn't pay
Yeah.
me enough. My soul is not for sale. That is why we get to connect with people like this, Shanti, because you and I are coming from the same
Yeah.
vibration and the same place of love. And I couldn't be prouder of Dr. Julia. I couldn't be prouder of Chris Latereur, both recent new friends to me. And it's so funny how we all find each other at the right time. And at the same time, then the energy comes together. We're here in support of each other. And that gives each of us more courage and more strength to come through. I'm about to have Juliet back on my channel. Oh my God, this book, guys, Spark
Sparky.
And Sparky was the personality that this little girl had to adopt in order to survive her brutal, horrific family life. And then she was a victim of the sex magic program, which we'll come to because people are going, "What's that? What's that?" And then with Chris Latereur, oh my gosh, again, he is the one who sat, who laid in one of the Montauk chairs. We've heard there's one chair, there's two. I didn't know that till I met Chris. Look at the print behind him. That is CIA paper. And also another tell, and guys, tell me if this is true. See how the typewriting print is? There are some letters that are less inked than others. I was told by more than one person this is also sometimes how you can tell it's actual, real, legal CIA documents. It was another way of coding, signaling out there. Can you, either of you,
Yeah.
confirm that?
Yeah, that's the type of writing for the CIA is the typical type of writing for the CIA. So yeah, there's often like coding message in this or like so
Well,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, when you come back to my channel, we're going to talk about the element of you going through the purple portal and the big opening on the wall where the monsters that Chanti mentioned came in. And Juliette, my God, the next part of our journey on my channel is the work you did in Moscow with the babies, with birthing.
mhm.
Oh my God, Juliette, it's like, oh. Sorry, somebody's calling me. I hope I haven't been bounced off. Okay, I'm still here. Yeah, it's just so incredible. There's just so much to say. But I really, really do support these two, like Shanti does. And Juliet, can I come to you first? Can I ask you a question? We've
Sure.
heard many things about Dr. Greens and Dr. Whites, and can you confirm to us what a Dr. Green and a Dr. White is, please? And then Chris, can you do the same?
Well, going through the program, I was moved from annex to annex to annex. So in each site, there was a set of color-coded men in white coats, and the head of it was Dr. Green, who always had a foreign accent. And then there was Dr. White, his next in command. Then there were Dr. Browns, and then there were nanny blacks, who were, I believe they were men dressed in nuns' habits, like long black robes and little frilly aprons and things, and they would take care of us. They were in charge of our bodies. And so this pattern was repeated everywhere I went, which I know for sure was in Washington State, all over California, and in Mexico. And I should say I'm American, and my experience came out of my uncle's involvement in the CIA and the NSA. And my programming took place on the West Coast of America. So Chris and I are 25 years. I'm 25 years older than Chris, and we're 3,000 miles apart. And yet the programming is so much the same. It's just absolutely shocking to me.
Mhm.
So there must be manuals, there must be protocols, there must be all kinds
Right.
of written material on how they've done this, even though they claim it doesn't. It has to. I mean, this is ridiculous. They must have
Right.
had annual meetings. They must have Zoom calls. So we're just at the tip of the iceberg, and really, in America, our ability to even tackle this problem didn't begin until the 23rd of November, 2024, when the National Security Archive released a 1,200-page document in which the CIA confessed to everything: how they did it, when they did it, who they did it, why they did it, where they did it. And it's not complete by any means, because the program was huge, and they claimed it stopped in about 1983, I think. But it's gone on, has increased, has morphed, has gone through the whole computerized evolution and been digitized. But it didn't start. It all started. The CIA was founded in 1947. I
Right.
was born in 1949. MK Ultra was the a national security agency, which was founded by my uncle and a group of his CIA associates, including James Jesus Angleton, was founded in 1952. They started MK Ultra with the Dulles brothers, John Foster Dulles and Alan Dulles, in 1953. And I was put in the MK Ultra program, yeah, in 1953, and then I was put in the program at 6 years old in 1955. So it was only 2 years old at that time. So it was very early. And we tend to think of all these things as eternal, like they've always been part of the earth. No, they all came from a small group of men following World War II who who met each other, who never probably would have, but they were all in Nuremberg for the Nazi trials, and they got their hands on all the research that the Nazis had been accumulating. And instead of hanging the scientists, they bargained with them, got the research, got their hands on unspeakable experiments that they'd carried out, didn't want to put them to waste, brought at least 1,500 of the medical experimenters to Huntsville, Alabama from Nuremberg, spread them all over the United States, and then they put their own children, which is how I got into the program to program us as future leaders with spiritual powers and astral projection and sex magic and all that they thought they'd found the key to existence when they got their hands on these documents. So it's a small group, and it's been a short period of time. We have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
The Dr. Green and I think it's all coming from the paperclip, those codes and all, like, cause they're usually affiliated to Germans, anyway, in my case, Dr. Green was a German, so yeah, that's
It
I,
was.
I there were like white coats. I wasn't calling them but it's pretty much like the way she's talking, like Juliette's talking, like they kept the same pattern, like they just like change a bit. So it's super interesting to have like one of the first generation of MK Ultra, and being able to compare this with the other ones, like 'cause like to see the evolution and how it went out, where it goes. So I think
Right.
that's a big part of the MK Ultra history. So that's cool. So,
Yeah, they're and this was Dr. White
yeah,
at the first program I was at, and he was the one that became my handler. That he had a relationship with my mother, and but his name really was George Hunter White. So maybe that's so all the Dr. Whites are probably named after him, but he was one of the first. And then Sidney Gottlieb was in charge of the overall program, but the Dr. Greens were always German. They always had accents. And since I was a child, they were just all old men to me. But the similarities is just
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
just and the
Why do you think it was? And I'm interested, especially because I must say I haven't heard about when you were talking about Nanny Black, and I actually have heard about Nanny Black before, and I wasn't sure what that was, and then the Dr. Browns. But I know, Chris, we were speaking that the Dr. Green is usually a Dr. Mengele. That was usually Mengele. But there have been quite a few survivors that have spoken about Dr. Green being other doctors as well. So it
Yeah.
wasn't just Mengele. So definitely it would seem that they would have used these code names. Why green? Would green mean anything in particular? I mean, we know that these creatures of the night don't do things without purpose or reason. So to me, it would maybe some type of magic that they were
Yeah, why keep
engaging in.
always the same name for all the different guys? So yeah, like that's the
Yes. So like a patterning, obviously it has to do something with the programming or the patterning, and maybe the same way that they implemented the torture. There had to be maybe a certain strategy that the different colors used, I would imagine. I'm wondering if you guys would know if there's anything. I mean, I think about these things, obviously I understand color is very powerful, and they would be using color therapy, or not therapy, but they would be using color as well, the element of color within their dark magic and their concoctions and stuff. So I'm just wondering if there was anything that the green specifically would have meant or represented.
Yeah, green was big in their world, and if you spin black and white, the color that you get is green, and the color between black and white. So if you see in the Masonic temples and everything is black and white, and
Yeah.
as I was told, if you pull the black and white tiles apart, it's green, and then when the beginning of every session, they would tie me to a wheel, which had all black and white symbols on it, and spin it and spin it while they're saying there is no light, there is no dark, there is no up, there is no down. And then they get to the point where there's only green. I was seeing green. I was supposed to release my soul in a flash of green. So green is the destruction of the human soul. So green is extremely powerful in that occult destructive, the genocide and the destruction of the human soul was seen, I think, as a step to becoming a higher level godlike. They wanted to become gods, and they thought they could, and they had these books and these papers and all these things, and unlimited access to children, to torture, and no accountability. And what did we get? We got a massive crime. And that's what this was, what was done to us and to all the other children that didn't survive. And, Chris and I survived because we had certain abilities. It'd be interesting to explore that because most didn't. So,
Wow.
but green is,
Wow.
I know
Yeah,
I
we
have a lot
survived
of
maybe by
green.
luck. Maybe by luck too, eh? Like, because, yeah, yeah,
Well, they wanted us alive for some reason.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, they couldn't kill me because of my uncle, I think.
Right, exactly. So, and then Chris, you were a favored child. I mean, that's a terrible thing to even imagine that because the way they treated children, putting them in cages, underground, Camp Hero, and way, way down, as you've explained in broadcast with the two of us. And but you said that the people have mentioned the name Preston Nichols. Is it Preston Nichols or Preston Daniels? Preston Nichols, I think. Um,
Preston Nichols.
Nichols.
Right. And I didn't so on Facebook, so I think it was the day that I was interviewing with you, Chris, that I was on Facebook and I saw my friend Brad Olson and he was at Camp Hero. He was at the doorway of the ugly block of bricks with the boat-shaped receiver, satellite receiver. He was there with Laura Eisenhower and JP and some other people. And I thought that's just so crazy that they're there. And they were talking about Preston Nichols. And I'd never heard of him because I haven't known much about this subject at all. I've met people, I've spoken here and there, but not found anyone yet, apart from you two. Not disrespecting other survivors, guys, out there. Please do not think I'm disrespecting anyone. But I'm happy that I can trust and validate Dr. Juliette and Chris Latereur on their evidence, and so is Chanti, because there's a lot of people out there that mix up stories or that maybe they've got screen, maybe they're trying to recover from something else. But you two have definitely been, like where you say. And Chris, with this Preston guy, the people, Brad Olson and the group were discussing things they'd heard about him, really harming little boys and this and that. And they mentioned a little boy called Duncan, which is you. I mean, can you just kind of go over that for us again in brief, please, if possible?
Yeah. Well, Duncan was alias, my to a name to use there in Montauk, because when we got brought there
Code
to
name.
Montauk, we knew the place was going to be hard, and they gave us all the other names to practice on our way there, and because we could be interrogated and all, so that was like like the names that we had to give, and so yeah, that's how I got the name Duncan Cameron and Preston Nichols. Probably a year after the project finished, this happened in Montauk. met me and my dad in a flea market. We were shopping, and yeah, like he ran after us, Duncan, Duncan. So I started talking to my dad, explaining like how the project was like bad, and like giving like telling a bit like what it was, and yeah, he invited us to a event that he was organizing and all, but we didn't go. Uh, a few years after, probably 5, 6 years after, I think he met a guy. Um, I think it's 5, 6 years after. Duncan Cameron was his name. Through a audio repair job. The guy was 30 something years old, but like he had the brilliant idea to make him pass for me, and so I have to like mismatch like the 15 years of 15 20 years of like lies, saying that the guy was like he was 30 something, no chance that he was in the cage with us. Like we were all between 8 and 13 maximum. So that's Montauk. Like
Mm.
so the people that talk blah blah blah, like I was
Yeah,
there, like,
you were there.
um, and so, yeah, that's why so many people, like, and the way they were saying this, also the guy, the other Duncan Cameron, uh, appeared from the USS Aldrich. He jumped. He was the brother of Al Bilek, and like, and another, but yeah, like making this like Chinese for like people to don't like to divert from the truth. Like the truth is like the traumas there were awful, and that's what people have to know. Like not like invented like
Yeah,
sci-fi, and turning my story into like a fairy tale. Like
yeah,
that's not it. Like
Hmm.
so, yeah, I'm
yeah,
trying to clear this. Like well, it's debunked like for sure. Like
Yeah,
anybody that has a brain will, like
no, that's so
but
good.
yeah.
yeah.
So good. Another link you two have, if I may ask, Shanti, quickly, another link that you two have, because also Shanti has other guests that have also got the similar link to a freaking monster. Not only is it this thing, this masculine male thing, hideously, violently ugly, and in a senior position in the military with the crazy eyebrows, but you have both been subjected to the vile Aquino. Chris, can you go first, and then can we get your take, Juliette? Dr.
Yeah.
Juliette?
Yeah, I met Aquino at 7 years old. Um, we had a group class of LSD, and he's the one that brought the LSD to my principal, and my principal was distributing it to us, and he was just checking everything she was doing. That was my first meet with the guy. Not too long after, they did a special night with Anton Lavey, Michael Aquino, and like a bunch of like high rank Satanists at the first building of the OTS. There were like obelisk tower there, and like I had stand in the obelisk tower. They were doing a ritual from the underworld, and a resurrection from the underworld or something like that. And yeah, like after I saw him like a few times, like another ritual, a Nazi ritual actually under a church. He had a ball with a Nazi ring in it, a silver SS ring, and he had a knife, a Nazi knife, and he all cut us on the wrist, and we had to bleed on the ring. So that was the ritual, some kind. Um, yeah, I saw him a few times actually, like along the from 81 to 87 kind of thing. Like after
Mm.
I didn't see him, or I don't remember it yet. So so, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
so
And
it was
Juliette?
mainly behind during the Monarch programming. I was dealing with Aquino. So like he was overwatching everything. I think like from the doctors to everybody, like the handlers and all. Like he
Mm.
was really watching it, like the bigger picture of MK. I
Mm.
think so.
Mhm. And Juliette, there's an age difference between you and Chris here. So you met Aquino when he was younger. Was he just as ugly with those ridiculous handlebar eyebrows?
No, he was I just looked up his dates. He was 4 years older than me, and he was there. He was in the program. Other people that were in the program included Charles Manson. He was there in the same group as Aquino. Um, who else? Oh, Phil Spector. I don't know if you remember him. He's
Wow.
the movie producer that wound
Yeah.
up finally getting put away for murder. And the irony is that he and Manson had been bosom buddies all through the MK. They were a pair in the MK Ultra uh, world and in Laurel Canyon, and then they both died in the same wing of San Quentin prison many years later. But when I knew them, they were young. They were Some people avidly took part in the satanic rituals and the so they got special treatment and they were I'm thinking specifically of I'm trying to remember some more names. I don't want to name anyone that's alive,
Mhm.
but quite a few people were in the Laurel Canyon rituals, and then in the Presidio, where Michael Aquino finally set up shop. He was This was before the Temple of Set was founded, but it was already in existence. So when I looked it up, it said it was founded in 1975, but they were already practicing all the spells, and some of them come to me sometimes, and I think, oh, I should write this down, and then I think, no, I should never write this down. This shouldn't go any farther. This is not something that should even be contemplated, because what's the point of contemplating evil? And this is where sex magic came from, was this satanic cult that formed around, it was in California, but now talking to Chris, I think it was everywhere. Um, but it
Right.
was focused on using projection sexual projecting yourself into other people and using their sexual energy to do what you wanted. And it was used when I was a teenager. They would take us to parties and very little clothes. They'd give us practically nothing to wear and give us rolls of LSD, and we would jump around and act drunk and get the other guests, who were all high level record executives and movie producers and um, people that would then hire people like Charles Manson and Roman Polanski and Phil Spector. They were doing it for jobs. I was doing it to just get out, but we would get everybody high on LSD and rolling around on the ground with underage children who were us, and get them all photographed and compromised, and then I would leave, go back to the truck that had brought us, and study my geometry. And those guys that I named would continue to party and made a whole career out of it. So um, that was, but Aquino was very much there. He was there at most of the events. He came from that San Francisco, the California area. Eventually, he had his cult at Presidio in San Francisco, and I was there as a teenager. Um, so those were his early years. Chris saw him 25 years later. But Aleister Crowley, I don't know if he was the one that was directing all this originally.
What
And
do you
Anthony
Mm.
LaVey.
what do you mean
Yeah.
that Aleister Crowley was directing? What was he directing exactly?
Well,
Sorry,
well,
Chanti. The next question is yours. I beg your pardon.
he had designed yeah, he died in
The Satanic
1947.
Bible and all. Like I think Anton Lavey retook his like his lineage, but I don't know if they were in the same time of alive or because like he's pretty like
Yeah, he died in 1947. However, people like Aquino and Manson and Spector and those guys that I named that kept going with
yeah.
the synagogue of Satan and all the demonic stuff had all his writings. I
Hey,
mean, they
look
were,
at all the bands that are talking about him, like in their songs, and so like like from the Beatles to the Stones to like name it. So
yeah,
yeah,
and that in the 1960s that set the tone for the counterculture, which was do what you want, do what
yeah,
thou willst, is what
Do
Crowley
what thou
said.
willst. Yeah.
But what it means is, do what you please. You don't need to care about anyone else.
But isn't there another line that goes after that? I've heard that and I can't remember what that is. Do what thou willst, but it's like karma. If you're going to do what you want, there's a retribution. Because I mean, yes, I think what free will and choice is on this planet is you can get to do what you want, but there's a karmic retribution for every action you have. There's a reaction, you know. And I'm wondering if they forgot that part
Never
of it
mentioned
all,
it.
right?
No, no, it was just do what you want. And that really was that was like Pepsi, what is it? The me generation, the
Yeah.
you are number one, free love, free sex. You don't need to take any responsibility for getting pregnant, have an abortion. It was like all for you.
That was the
And
60s, wasn't it? Very much the hippie era. We're looking at that
yes,
hippie era. Because if you
and
look
that
at the
was a big
50s, that was quite
change.
a yeah. The 50s
Hey,
was quite a
Chantal,
conservative era. Hmm?
Chantal, did you try to play that video?
No, it's in my
We should.
thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do. Let me just ask Morna if he can download it. That's what I'm gonna ask him to do. Okay, you guys
Yeah.
carry on just chatting there for a
Yeah,
minute.
I got a couple of questions. Dr. Juliette. Now, again, you and Chris are from different generations, which is amazing because then we can look at the step down. How many of the military, because it was a military organization in terms of it's very militarized. Dr. Greens, Dr. Whites, Nanny Blacks. It was the same uniformity across the decades. We can prove that by the two of you and your testimonies. Dr. Juliette, you mentioned people like Chris, sorry, not Marilyn Manson. Oh my God, Manson, Charles
Charles
Manson
Manson. Yeah.
and Jim Morrison and other
Mhm.
people. Now, did you ever see, and can you confirm, because I wouldn't like to say the name and it not be true, but I've heard on several different levels, Bob Hope, Frank Sinatra were potentially part of programs. Is that true in your experience?
I couldn't say because I didn't know them and I was young, so they were just all old guys that had to be seduced. Um, so I knew some of the other people that were just a few years older than me that were in the program and that are
Okay.
still alive now. But as to the older ones, I didn't want to know them, and I didn't. They were just old, you
Got it.
know.
Got it. And bearing in mind, you mentioned Laurel Canyon. A lot of people have been around LA. I've been around LA and San Diego, where obviously you both, oh my goodness, so many things there. And so many things we've covered. We welcome people to go back to Shanti's channel here and my channel and other channels that you guys appear on to get the full background of your testimonies. But let's take Laurel Canyon. A lot of people, even without knowing the things that have happened there, I said it's really creepy there, it's really eerie there, because humans we can pick up, we can feel when something's not right. The people you mentioned, Phil Spector, etc., these are people that were very famous. You said they were also people that enjoyed the satanic rituals and happily, enthusiastically joined in. Can you validate that the men that were doing this, and potentially women too, went on to gain notoriety, fame, a movie directorship, that kind of thing? Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yes, actors, singers, um, entertainers of all kinds, movie producers, record producers. Yeah, and that's not to say that they weren't themselves slaves. So as you look at the lives of the actors, they were seduced by the sex magic programs. They were pulled into the blackmail. They were drugged all of the time. They were at that time they did a lot of plastic surgery on them. They forced them to have plastic surgery. They removed them from their families. Oh, there's one that's still alive, so I won't mention her, but she seduced a lot of them, and so they had terrible lives. They had all the money, all the bling, all the fame, but their existence was destroyed. So, and we're looking at those now. You know, people that are doing all the plastic surgery in the world to try to stay young and stay relevant because they've lost something. You know, they can't talk about soul or God or purpose, or it's all about your superficial looks, which is what they were sold. And when they gave up their soul for fame, that's all they had left.
And they're not immortal, they've come to find out that. Chris, it's so interesting that, again, you can validate that, as we've been told and we've heard, but you, again, from an older generation, that these great famous people have done so many dreadful things in order to gain that empty fame, and now they're living these, some of them, you can see them, you know, all the magic spells are unplugging. I put a reel out today on the spells that are done over the music industry, the records, the black magic. It's all true. And now we're all coming to hear about it. Chris, I want to go back to one of the rituals that you spoke about. Now, I want to say to people out there, don't be rude about his lovely accent, okay? Because there are some rude people out there that comment, oh, I can't hear him. Well, then put your bloody headphones in and put the CC button so you can read subtitles, or just leave. Because it's rude, Chris. You're doing
Right.
People should respect you for coming forward in an accent that's not your first language, and sharing everything that you are.
Yeah.
So big cuddle from me to you, my love. So I want
Thank
you
you.
to, you can't believe how rude some people are, though, honestly. You mentioned the
Yeah.
obelisk, the satanic ritual that
Yeah.
Anton LaVey was doing. I forget who else. It's I think Crowley. I forget now. Obelisk resurrection. And can you
From the
share a
under
little?
Yeah, from the underworld. Like it's a ritual from the underworld. Like I had to stand in a obelisk tower and
You
like
stop there. You had, so it's a ritual from the underworld. Can you tell us slowly, like, what does that mean, and how did you stand inside an obelisk tower? Can you explain that to us?
there were steps in it. Like it's probably 50, 75 feet high. The obelisk tower, a big in metal, and they were like doing the ritual, and I had to stay in the tower. Like I didn't have to stay in a position or nothing. Like, but I had to be in the tower. So yeah, that's the
Was it
and like
marble?
yeah, that's from I've learned this a few years ago that it's a resurrection from the underworld. That's the what they use that the obelisk for those ritual.
Mm.
So
Was it red
yeah,
granite? Was the material red granite, or was it marble? The obelisk?
no, it was metal, like painted metal, like green with steps in it. Like
Oh,
there were a base of
Green again.
yeah, but like green. So it was all painted green, and yeah. And the funny thing, I found some pictures of that tower because like they destroyed that place, but I found some pictures. So yeah, that's and like you see the green. So like you know, that's not existing anymore. Like but
wow. One more quick question on the theme while now Shanti's come back, on the wheel, because I know people heard a little bit about the wheel, but they want to probably know a bit more. Dr. Juliet, if you're
Yeah.
comfortable, tell us about the wheel that you were strapped onto. How were you strapped onto? What did it look like? What color was it? Which way did it spin? If you could explain some of that so we can feel into the experience, but also the chanting, a bit more about the chanting and the men in robes that were doing that over you, because it's such a hard one to even imagine for a little girl to go through that.
Sure.
It was it was every time, and I'd be drugged. They'd give me chocolate chip cookies that made me really sleepy and out of it. And at first I would fight them and they'd give me shots and after a while I just ate the cookies. And then I'd wake up strapped naked to a wheel with my arms and legs bound down, and the wheel would have symbols on it. Many times it would be like the yin yang sign in black and white, or it would be yin yang, and they'd throw bones on top of me before they started to spin, or there would be runes and old writing, which I've tried to find. It looks Sumerian actually when I researched it as an adult. I think it was Sumerian writing. They would spin me on the wheel, and it would go this way. What way is that?
Anti-sunwise?
Clockwise.
Okay.
Would go clockwise. And spin faster and faster and faster while they were chanting, there is no day, there is no night, there is no good, there is no bad, there is no light, there is no dark. I mean, basically taking you into nothingness. And when you couldn't stand it anymore because it was just so disorienting and strange and nauseating, I could stop it at any time by giving up my soul. This is what they told me. In a flash of green, if I opened my mouth and let my soul give them my soul, then everything would be great. I'd get the money, I'd get the clothes, I'd be a star. I could be a singer, even if I couldn't sing. The promised land was there. And I think a lot of survivors took it. And now you see them. They're like these soulless, high-level people that you can't understand how on earth they got into positions of power in our government or our entertainment industry. But that's how they did it. And they've got the money, they've got the control. So they're making horrible movies that no one wants to watch, but they have unlimited funding. They're writing terrible scripts, books. You can't get a good book published unless you're one of them. And then, and they really can't write. It's all AI writing. So it's created a culture where people with brains, talent, and ability are repressed. And these people that were forced really to give up their souls have taken control. And now they're in their 70s because, I'm probably one of the oldest ones from the program. We'd all be at the top end. We'd be 76 to 78. I mean, that would be it. And they're realizing that there's nothing there, that the script goes nowhere, that life goes nowhere, that no amount of plastic surgery is going to keep you from dying. And then what? Because they're lost. They've given up their souls. So it's infiltrated the church. It's infiltrated every aspect of our life, and it's a disaster for us. And so as a survivor, I want to share everything I know about this because it needs to be corrected. And until I heard Chris speaking, I had not realized that all way over on the other side of the country, in Montauk, it was the same people doing the same things 25 years later. Probably worse, but they probably got better at it. But there's the basic problem, and it all goes back to, I call them the 12 evil men in 1947 who got their hands on stuff they never should have gotten their hands on. They should have destroyed all that Nazi research. That should have just been gone, and those Nazis should have been hung, and that should have been the end of it. But no, they stole it.
I think that's the reason why they took the Nazis over to begin with. I think that's the reason. I mean, if we there was that documentary, and I think I might have even spoken to you about it um, after the Second World War, that the greatest untold story of Adolf Hitler. in history or something. And there we see that, and of course, I'm sure lots of German propaganda and stuff as well. But there we see that really the Allies and the Russians wanted what Germany had. So the World War II wasn't even over, and those Nazi scientists were already kidnapped. I always say they kidnapped those scientists. They didn't say, okay, well, you can come over and, well, we'll see what you got and then we'll decide. They wanted those scientists with everything that their little hearts could desire because they wanted that technology. And the Russians wanted the space technology. Or I guess they all wanted it, all of the technology. But that was where I think the Russians and the Allies colluded behind
Yeah.
Germany's back, really, to get that technology from the Nazis. And then they probably tortured
Antarctica,
it out of them.
Mm. And
Yeah,
Antarctica,
carry on. Sorry. So, yeah.
Antarctica. Like like when the war stopped, all the soldiers, I think there's 5,000 soldiers that went like for Operation whatever
High
with
jump,
General Byrd.
high
Yeah,
jump.
yeah, and I think it was all like because like since then, like Antarctica is protected by a treaty that all the countries are together on it, and like so they're protecting something that stopped the war from there. So like if you add up, like it's and yeah, like Germans had a foot there before them. So probably, like if you like back up a bit the tape and you analyze this, you'll see that it's all leading to this. So uh, the ancient tech that they found there, and so
yeah,
yeah,
and
Mm,
the person that organized all of this was Hitler's head of security, Gehlen. I forget his first name, but he was the chief Nazi, and he was in Nuremberg, but he wasn't a prisoner. He was negotiating with the 12 evil men from who became the CIA, NSA, and also there was John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle, who had was at MIT, and he had obtained, or MIT had obtained, all of Tesla's files when Tesla died. So just think about it. There was Gehlen, who'd overseen all this Nazi research to begin with, now being basically put in charge of putting together the American Security Services, which became the CIA in 1947, and he had control of the access of all the Nazi research plus Tesla's research and whatever else they had their hands on. So I mean, what a prize. And it makes sense then that they would take their own children and put them in the program
mm,
because
right,
I was the first one
right.
born into that group of all my uncles. I was the first child, so they put me in, and it makes sense from that perspective.
To them, perhaps.
To him,
Doesn't make
yeah,
sense to
no,
any
it
of
doesn't
us.
make
Yeah.
sense to me. No, terrible thing to
Most
do. The whole
definitely
thing
not.
was,
Wow.
Mm. Yes,
if
so
anything in history
Absolutely.
could be undone, that should be it.
mhm. Yeah, so
Chris, I know you asked me to just check for these files. I can't download check for it on my computer, but I'm thinking I can't download it on my computer, and to get it from my phone to my computer is another mission and a half.
yeah,
Um, Maybe if you could share with us what those videos are, then as you speak in,
yeah.
I will just play them. Or if you wanna, maybe can you share screen from where you are?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. So sorry about that. Like to share the
No, no,
view,
carry on.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe
like
tell
that
us
video.
what. Mhm.
Yeah, that video is like somebody that was like trained for a few months, like a few just by bits here and there without even knowing it. And he was like programmed to be like killing somebody, and like he has a fake gun and all. And like during a show, like he stands up and kill and he sits back. like nothing with his wife next to him, like nothing happened. He doesn't even remember like 3 minutes after when they wake him up. But like that's during a show, a bunch of people and all. So that's the what the well, what we were meant for, like the base, the MK Ultra, like Manchurian Candidate, like you killed and you don't remember, you have no clue, and like that video is a short resume of like what that experience they did. It worked super nice, like so you see a bit like the power, and that's just like what we think now, but like think farther, think deeper, think longer on this, you'll find worse to do. So it's and they just do this. So yeah, like
Sleeper soldiers, I think, is that what they call them? Is it the
yeah,
sleeper
sleepers
soldiers,
asset,
right?
like they don't know, like regular people, like working 9 to 5 or whatever, and yeah, just
Are you
when you
saying, I mean,
call.
or after like let's talk about both Montauk and normal MK Ultra. I
uh,
mean, however normal can be. When you're looking at these situations, obviously, you grow up after being kids, right? So they can't control you and manipulate you the way that they did when you were 7 and 8 and 9 years old.
Yeah.
So now, when you grow up, they are obviously controlling you in other ways, right? And I find that interesting, Chris, what you've just said, because I would imagine that especially with young boys that now have grown up with extreme abuse and torture, right? So your empathy gene is just about gone already. When it comes to, because all of the torture that they do, there's so much blood and sacrifice, and you become numb to it, kind of thing. And then, of course, they know just how to trigger their assets. They know exactly what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. They know
They build those
exactly where to
switch.
hit you.
They
Yeah,
build those switch. They
exactly.
install them how they want. So yeah, like
So would they have used, and I mean, you can answer this or not, but I'm just interested. I would imagine that they would have used you and perhaps your group of friends um, after you guys maybe grew up, got to be teenagers, older, to do a lot of shitty things for them, like a lot of sleeper work. Am I right in
yeah, a few
assuming
times a
that?
year, just a few times a year, just to keep the to refresh the hypnose, like to like put a better brace on the hypnose and like and program like but yeah, it's from the same trigger from when we were kids. They're just working and working those triggers and like yeah, it's really a well-tuned machine like for this, and like
Yeah,
just a call and like we go and do the stuff. And for us it's like we saw this like like so many times, so many ways, so many like the worst of the worst all the time. So like we're used to it. So like it's like a dream. Like the next morning, they have a team on us that calls us, that like keeps us our mind busy and all, and we're just doing our day like nothing. But like it's after like when you do like regression hypnose and all, and like you realize uh, the missing point that they make you miss, like like the next day, like with the team of just like and that's just done that way to keep your the take on you like for hypnosis and
control,
just
total
get it
control.
stronger each time because like at some point like it's super easy, like you've been like they build those switch from when you're a kid, like and they've been using them all your life, you just don't know. So like because
Yeah.
they don't like build you and like let you go like for like they come and like they call or something like that. You fall in neutral. You get up at the middle of the night. You go. You don't remember. Like don't ask me where I went. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like but yeah,
Mm.
like
That's so terrifying. I'm waiting a little while longer. I'm going to bring a younger lady, on my channel, but I know she's in the midst of remembering, and so people have to also be so respectful with people like you guys that you're not to be toyed with or abused or manipulated, because there still could be some
Yeah.
level of underlying, trauma. It could create a trauma-induced seizure, which I've seen happen with somebody who was in the secret space program. I was sitting with him while he went into a trauma-induced seizure. It's terrifying. Oh my goodness. And but there are people that do unfortunately play with people like you, and I'm so sorry that these people are out there looking for, whatever, their fame, notoriety, and they're not taking care of you properly. I wanted to ask you, Chris. Also, I am a therapist too for many, many years and have worked with a lot of traumatized individuals, children, and adults. Could you explain to us the best possible way that you can remember being hypnotized? Was it called a specific type of hypnosis? You call it hypnose, a type of hypnosis. And also, what do you know about kill switches? Is that okay to go there?
yeah. Well,
Okay.
kill switches is like protection that we make, like sample, like I released like a lot of information, but like I kept like way more just as a kill switch. So like if something happens to me, like those information is gonna be released, and they don't want this out. So like I'm safe. So yeah, like so yeah, that's like
Okay. And
and like like rewind the tape that I was escaped for a year. They were looking for me. Like there were 50 like from the CIA, from the cops, looking everywhere for a year, and I turned myself in because like they had no clue. So like it's the same thing for what I have and what where it is. So like
Right. Yeah.
uh,
where was you?
so
How did
yeah.
you hide for a year, Chris? How did you hide? Why did you hide? Like, what was that situation?
Oh well, I had to escape because like like they killed the nurse that like just
Oh
saved me
yeah.
and all. So I didn't know what was coming for me, and like jail is not the safest place. Like even if you know a lot of people and all, like there's always like, yeah. So
Hmm. Hmm. Juliet,
I
what
had to
kind
go and like also like people were stealing all my stuff and all. So like at first like I was going to like just like arrange everybody like like I spotted a place for an helicopter like to be able to move from one place to the other and yeah, like I was like determined, but yeah, like
And knew
I picked the
exactly how
right
to
card.
trigger you.
Oh yeah,
This is exactly
crazy.
what I say. It's like they obviously knew exactly where your weak spots were, where your vulnerabilities were. I mean,
We're all programmed
you've
to
shared,
escape, no matter what. Like even like no
yes,
matter what, we're programmed to escape. So if we're getting caught or whatever, they program this inside us. We all escape. Like my buddies escaped with a helicopter from jail. Like the helicopter came in the yard and like and they yeah. So like like
so
we're
they,
all
it's
and
like
we
that.
went on those flight simulator for helicopters. So that's why we all have like stories with helicopters. Like like from Eric for the gold mine ice with the helicopter. Like it's all the yeah, like that's the Montauk Boys. That's the Black Ops. That's the like that's our use. That was so.
of?
There's not many people that talk about this, because it's, yeah.
Mhm. Is there
You
anyone out
actually
there,
did a
Chris?
show.
Sorry,
Sorry, Danny, carry on.
sorry, just very quickly, Chris, is there anyone that you see online who's talking out about these things that you recognize from your time in the program?
Yeah, like was Stuart Wardlow. I was transported in the same car with him, but the guy like tries to push the narrative like of the other Duncan Cameron, like 30 something in
Mm.
83. So yeah, like he's just not genuine. Like there's something behind it. Like at the same time, like I remember him like. We were brought there like he wasn't getting beat up or something. He was the one that was like checking us if we were talking and snitching and so sorry but that's probably why he doesn't want to like get in contact with me because like
Mm.
I'm gonna give the real colors because like
Yeah.
at some point you're
Yeah,
like he's saying like,
I
oh
mean,
he's dead, he's dead, he's dead.
mm,
He's saying that he's the only Montauk boy
yeah.
like so
I'm
yeah,
not.
at some point it's gonna land back.
Yeah, I'm not defending anyone here because I don't know. I wasn't there. But all I would say
Yeah,
is, you know that when you're a child and you're going through these horrors and you're seeing children being unalived all around you, you're going to do pretty much anything to survive. Not that I'm
yeah, oh
excusing
yeah. I
behavior.
don't
So I'm
blame
just
him.
saying that
I don't blame him.
I
Like
wasn't there, but
like we all had our shift to do there, and
yeah.
like we couldn't like mess around with that. But like the fact is that like we're both like 50 something now. So like you should be man enough to say, hey, hi, we survived from that place, and and talk the real thing, and like help like expose the real facts so that this doesn't happen to other kid. Not wear a cap like they were wearing and like promote the like whatever he's promoting. So like that's my issue with Swordlow. So sorry about that. It's live this morning.
Wow.
Fuck you, man. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Tricky, so tricky. Juliette, may
It
I
is. It is. Carry on, Danny.
Sorry,
Carry
I
on.
know it's so difficult, isn't it? Because we're both such enthusiastic interviewers as well. And so I just
You
wanted to
go.
balance out my question between Chris and Juliette. So, Juliette, I wanted to ask you about if you could share with us any of the levels of hypnotherapy, hypnosis, trance-inducing therapies that may have helped you for in recovery of your memories.
No, I would never do any of the hypnosis or trance induction, or I would never deal with a therapist without sitting there staring them in the eyes. Um, I would never take any drugs that affected my consciousness or separated me from all the little guards I have on all my individual sections inside my
Oh,
head.
darling.
So no, I'm very guarded at all times, and it took years for me to be able to talk like this. And Chris escaped for a year. I totally understand that completely. I escaped to Russia for 20 years. And so I lived in another language, so they couldn't access my thoughts because they do that. Um, I lived in places in buildings that I mean I was very guarded, always very guarded. It was easier to do that in Russia than it was to do it here, and I have to say that after a while, someone from the Russian security services spoke to me, a very high level general actually, and finally told me that he'd known my uncle, that they'd been together in Bletchley Park during World War II, decoding the Enigma. My uncle had been this genius cryptologist teenager, and so they knew each other since that time. So he had actually, this general had actually arranged for me to be invited and help me along in my work, which was to do the exact opposite of what was done to me in the United States, because I went to work in maternity hospitals. I helped reform the birthing system. I traced down what was happening to adopted or to children who were abandoned in the birth houses, followed them all the way from on a bus, all the way from Murmansk to Norway on a little bus, and started bringing them back, and so devoted my life to that in another language, which it protected me. I think it would have been much more difficult to be in this environment where I was so accessible to the programmers. So yeah, I escaped. But then I came back because I needed to tell this story. And by the when I came back in 2010, I was 65 or 62, I guess. And I still didn't remember everything. So I determined to write Sparky, which meant painfully going step by step by step and remembering being a child. Because, like you say, inducing the seizures, the memories that go in with childhood torture come out that way too. So you don't just intellectually say, "Oh, okay, somebody chopped off my toe." No, your body memory relives the entire experience.
Right.
So you can be suddenly sent into, and this has happened many times, suddenly sent into catatonia. I had this
Right.
happen to me. I was speaking to 300 representatives of Homeland Security in a conference in Casablanca in Morocco. And I got up and I looked at them all, and they were all backlit. So they all had these crew cuts, and so it was like looking out over 300 porcupines. And suddenly I was back in the MK Ultra program as a child because something had happened like that with flashing lights and backlit heads. And I completely lost my voice, lost my orientation, didn't know where I was. They were all very nice. They were going, "Come on, you can do it." And I was gone.
Mm.
So that was a memory seizure. And I now know what I was remembering was the children in cages and just being able to see them, their silhouettes backlit and their shaved heads.
Oh my God.
There was nothing good about this. Nothing. No good moments, no nothing. But I struggled through Sparky so that I could talk about it. But it took me years to be able to talk about it. So kudos to Chris being able to talk about it at 50. It took me
Yeah.
until 75.
God. But this book, it starts off at a gallop. Like that's why you always warn, and I warn anyone too that reads this. It is so violent on the first pages. You know, you're basically your father was sacrificing you to an adult rape, but you're 6 years old and you were broken in that moment, and that's how the book starts. And then we're living your psychosis and your desperation to survive as a little girl. The way you write is just, it's incredible, incredible. And you're just so brave, both of you are just so, I'm going to cry, just so crazy brave. You know, you just really are. You're just a gift, you know. You've done so much to help other people. You're helping other people heal. You're giving others out there who've truly lived this or elements of it, because everyone's pain is important. But you're giving them hope that they'll be believed, or there'll be an element they can find healing from, or that they're not crazy. This did happen to them or to somebody around them, you know. So bless you both so much.
Yeah, everybody should look at the documents because the CIA confessed. So they can no longer say this didn't happen. They've admitted it. And
But
I'm they'll be in the show notes, the link, so everyone that watches this can look at that.
what's the accountability, though? That's the question I have. It's one thing these monsters admit to doing this thing, and I know Jesse Zaberto spoke about a few weeks ago. 5 million kids went through Montauk, just Montauk. That's the entire white population in South Africa. That's how I relate because we are 5 million white population here.
Montauk was just
That
one of the place. There's a lot of other places that are used that are just not known. So that's the thing,
exactly.
like so
I mean, I
like those
just,
5, 6 places in my book that they were using that they can't use anymore because there's too much into so they couldn't take that risk anymore. So yeah, I saved the ass of a lot of kids there, for sure.
sure.
So
It's so tragic. These poor babies. I mean, and just on a slightly I mean, I don't know if Jesse Zaberto does really good decodes on the system. We were actually talking about the milk contracts and the milk moustache. A couple of years ago, they had that milk moustache got milk. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm.
Um, with the celebrities having a milk
Yeah, yeah,
moustache.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And she was actually speaking yesterday, and this is quite graphic. It's made me sick. I can tell you, I've like tried to really not think about it today, but it's not possible. Part of that, the whole milk got moustache, is obviously these older guys orally graping the kids, right? And then they would ejaculate in the mouth, and it comes out the nose onto the moustache, onto the lip. And now it's said, look, you did good. You got a moustache. You got milk. I mean, how sick is that? What these poor babies have had to go through. I can't even begin to imagine. Every day I hear something that is just a little bit more debased than what I heard before. And this is why I'm saying, for us, and it's like Beverly Rhodes when she had her accident in, the explosion in London. We all hear about everyone running and the chaos and the drama. Yet and I was relating to that now, Danny, when you were speaking about Juliet's book, because Beverly's book, in fact, The Horse Girl, I have it here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is an incredible book as well, right? Her story about her journey. And when she, like, literally in that explosion and dragging herself and no teeth in her mouth, and like you going through the horror, and Beverly as well with her experience as a child when her stepfather, handler, brother-in-law, obviously sold her and abused her from a very young age. It's it's amazing that you guys are still here sharing these stories. I honor you. I really, really do. It can never, ever, ever be easy and it can never go away. And the whole point about what I'm saying is that we can never imagine the horror as much as what we think we can as non-survivors of what you guys have been through. And it's so true, Danny, what you were saying earlier on. And to, with survivors still retrieving memories, it's so easy to get triggered. And I think as well, I'm finding a lot of deliberate triggering is happening now with survivors as well. There's a lot of people coming out there deliberately triggering survivors. So I want to just say again, I believe you. I thank you. I honor you for everything you're doing. I know, and I'm gonna call it it's 1919 now. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up because I know these interviews do get a little bit tiring, but I want to maybe just go around with each one of you again. I'll start with Juliet. Just if there's something you want to say, share, something you want to just share with the viewers, advice, parents, I don't know, anything that you can share with us. Now I'll start with you, Juliet.
Well, their big control over society is the whole illusion of magic. And if we could
Right.
eliminate magic from our vocabulary, because there is no magic, there's no magic youth, there is no magic spell, there is no,
Right.
someone may be more intuitive, other people have the abilities to see through dimensions, all these things. That's not magic. That just is what it is, and trying to capture that in order to manipulate and elevate, because these people want not only to manipulate and elevate themselves above humanity, but they want to be
So true.
gods. And they're
So
not
true.
gods. They're not going to be gods. And no amount of plastic surgery or drinking adrenochrome, drinking children's blood, torturing children, eating children, none of that's going to do anything for you except completely destroy your soul. And so we've we can if you eliminate that, if you stop watching Walt Disney and listening to all the magic this, magic that, and realize you're a human being. You've got a finite number of years. Do the best you can with it, and go into the journey of your own soul. Prepare yourself
Right.
to be the best you can be.
Absolutely. That's where the real magic lies, and that's probably the only magic there is, you know. I love that actually.
Close as you're going to get. Any of us are going to get.
But it's so true because I've often said, you know, these guys lie so much as well. I am so convinced they bullshit us with so much crap that they can do this or whatever. And that's the thing. We don't really know, do we? Because they are in control. And yes, it's not even a question that they do have access to some seriously high technology or advanced technology that, yeah, that would seem like magic to us. Meanwhile, it's just really advanced technology, right? So at the end of the day, as you say, delve into your own soul, grow with your own being, and then watch the real magic happen. I love that. Chris, is there anything from you that you want to maybe wrap up with?
Yeah, to invite people to check in like other survivor stories to compare because we have the chance with Juliette she's one of the first generations, so to compare like the generation, like the evolution of MK Ultra through like the pattern they took and just to expose this to the future generations of parents and to protect kids from because if you think it stopped you probably think it stopped also in 73 when the church was coming no, they changed the name, so to
Let's
monarch,
call it
and
something
after to
else.
how many sub projects, and so that's the but there's a pattern, there's a way, and when you have the chance to see different generation and like the pattern they use, it's easy to uh, see where it's going, and also yeah, invite people to do their research because it's touching everybody now with 5G and all. Like everybody's involved in a form or another of mind control. The
Mm.
traumatic events are all often brought to news now, and just to create traumas and keep the people. But to understand all this, you have to dig a bit into it. But I invite people for your own good and for the kids. So yeah,
Yeah, be awake and aware and just yeah, discernment is absolutely the order of the day. Because there's so much bullshit flying around as well. You know, people believe everything, and then we start fighting with each other, right?
Mm.
Well, no, this one's, and then again, divide and conquer. Typical form of mind control, really, or any control is divide and conquer. Danny, I'd love to hear from you as well. Is there any last questions you have for these two awesome beings? And also, yeah, just something you can wrap up with for us.
Thank you. Well, it was just to say that what you just said there, with the way that the system is systemized, it is for us, the people, to basically destroy each other while they just sit back and watch. It's all a program. So the people who put themselves on the front lines of disclosure in any way or particular, watch who's attacking who, watch what's happening. There are some people that have hit their glass ceiling. They can't go up anymore. They just stay with their fans and their whatever, you know what I mean? So you say, okay, that person's peaked. Okay, the asset they were and whatever program they were in, on or off planet, whatever, that's done now. You got to watch the people that lead with their heart, lead with their love. Watch, I always say, it's not what people say, it's their actions. You can tell a lot by someone's actions. It's like at the moment, and I'm going to say this because it's my mind, my thoughts, and I'll say what I damn well want, and I don't have a handler. So people like put Trump out front, or put, like in England, people hate Trump. They hate Putin. You should hear the stories. In America, there are people that love Trump. They love Putin. How could we have it so wrong on both levels? How is that? It's
Right.
manipulation. It's mind fucking control. right? It's bottom line.
Right.
There isn't a person who isn't affected by mind control. So, me as an individual soul, individuated spark of God in this vessel, I'm watching everybody, okay? Because I don't have a handler anymore, which is fucking great too. So, sorry for saying fuck, but anyway, just to labor the point that we're individual, we're all healing something, okay? If our ego is going to block, yeah, moving forward in truth, we need to sit down and shut up and let other people continue on their journey. Chris and Dr. Juliette, you are leading the way in this specific systemized program. And again, I salute you and love you both so much for coming forward and being who you be. And I will play and explore with you more on my channel too. Chantelle Meyburgh, Chanti, you are an extraordinary woman on the other side of the world in South Africa, holding your end up as I'm holding my end up in England and America. Shanti, you
Yeah,
are
for
one of the
sure.
bravest, right? You're one of the brave. Don't you interrupt when I'm giving you a compliment, girl. You are one of the bravest people. You go to the darkest, darkest, darkest stories. I've watched you over the years. I watched your massive channel get taken down. I've watched you slaughtered and slandered by horrible, awful people. And here you are, rising and rising and rising and shining and taking on the hardest subjects. And I salute you for that. And that is what I want to say. I'm very proud to know you three and will continue to support you forever. Thank you.
Dan,
Oh,
you are
that's
so
cool.
lovely, and thank you.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, really, really, thank you. That's. I mean, and what can I say? Ditto to every single thing you've said. It's like this morning we were talking about I had the wrong, I'd given you, because it's Thursday, we were recording today and airing tomorrow, Friday. So I said to you, Danny, shit, I've got the wrong date. I gave you Friday, it's Thursday. Please tell me you can do it. She says, I'm your bitch. I said, yeah. I'll be there. I love
Yeah.
it. And it truly is what it is. I love our community. I love the fact that we have really, we have hardships together. We get through it together. And I honestly don't give a continental fig what anyone says. I know who I am. I know what I'm about. I know what I'm here to do. And we all do here. And that is a great honor as well. And again, Juliette and Chris, you guys really are warriors. And it's a privilege as a non-survivor in this life anyway, to be speaking with you and that you're sharing so much. I know this cannot be pleasant. It's never pleasant to dig up these old horrible things, but we honor you and appreciate you for what you're doing for humanity, definitely. And I will definitely be playing with 30 on my channel again as well. And Danny, we will do some more of these for sure in the future. Okay, everybody. God bless you.
Amen.
Take
Thank you,
good care
everyone.
of you, and I will see you very soon again. So have a beautiful day. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.